Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. First order of business, I'm going to put in timestamps when I talk about Ghislaine Maxwell's latest denied motion and also for the updates in the Lori Vallow Chad Daybell case. So I'll put the timestamps below. First, I'm going to do a little housekeeping. I want to say thank you so much to the subscribers, to the people who make comments in the comment section and have conversations with me, people who push likes, even the people who push dislikes. It helps with the engagement and I really appreciate it. Also, I would appreciate it if you would subscribe if you haven't. If you are a content creator and you watch my videos and I follow you back, I will let your ads run. In fact, I already do. Like on most of the content creators that I enjoy, I let the ads run. So you're making money off me watching your videos. Second order of business, I know it's been a little while since I posted last. I'm always doing research on the down low. So if I'm not posting, it's usually because I'm getting ready to get a whole new batch of research into a video, something to produce and to show you guys. So I am keeping busy behind the scenes. We did have some COVID related things in the extended family and some things with pets, and it just wasn't a time to film. So you may have seen that yesterday the judge in the Ghislaine Maxwell case has denied her second shot at trying to get out on bond. Bless her heart, right? She is not enjoying her stay in the Metro Detention Center in Brooklyn and she wants out. And you've got to think she is a socialite. You know, she's a woman that has had money her whole entire life. Her father was Robert Maxwell. And if you don't know who she is and you clicked on this, go check out all the other videos I did on Madam Maxwell and Jeffrey Epstein. She was allegedly the woman, the head recruiter of women, of young girls for Jeffrey Epstein, and allegedly groomed these girls, allegedly also participated in the bad things that were done to these girls. Sometimes you can't say certain words on YouTube, so I'm just being careful. But Ghislaine is currently being held in the Metro Detention Center in Brooklyn. And by the way, Ghislaine Maxwell did not kill herself. Just putting it out there. Because if she ends up dead, foul play is involved. I don't think that she will kill herself. So having said that, the judge saw the motion that she wants out. She was trying to proffer a $28.5 million bond package. And so what this bond package was doing was not only you're putting up collateral to say that, hey, I won't flee the country, you know, and I'll be good and I'll stay put and I will come to trial. You're securing your appearance at trial, but getting out of the jail, right? That's the concept of the bond. She was proposing to have armed guards. She'd be staying in a New York City residence, probably like Manhattan, you know what I mean? Oh my gosh. Have an electronic tag on her so she would be monitored, right? Like, oh, it's going to be fine. You know, why have the state or, you know, anybody else pay for her housing, you know, when we can have her totally taken care of and she won't flee and, you know, we'll secure her appearance at trial. In a way, it's kind of Epsteinish because remember when he got in trouble in Florida and the only time that he actually, you know, got punished down here, he managed to, sleep overnight in the jail and was able to have people ferry him around and he lived the same lifestyle he had. It's ridiculous. You know, when he's serving his time, he was out there doing things he shouldn't have been doing. And here we are, shades of Epstein. She wants out. She wants to go back to some cushy, you know, Manhattan residence and should have guards to make sure she didn't flee and she would be monitored. Probably an ankle bracelet? You know how easy it is for people to cut the ankle bracelet and before the police can arrive, you've taken the helicopter off the top of your Manhattan building? I mean, what guards are gonna, you know, they could be bought off to be on the toilet or someplace when you go and make your getaway. And so basically the judge, to just condense his response down, is that, you know, she's wealthy. She's exceedingly wealthy. She has, her citizenship is an issue. She's not an American citizen. I think she was pretty much raised in England, but she's a French citizen. I mean, her citizenship is not tied here. And, you know, she's a flight risk. She is the typical flight risk. Her motion to get bond, to get out, her second try, denied. And you know what? That is what she deserves. She deserves to sit and wait until her trial and maybe sit with herself and think about what she did. In my opinion, these are not petty charges. Yes, there is a risk of COVID. It is going around in the jails and in the prisons. Okay, I get it. It's a risk that she could catch COVID, you know, but by that same token, she is a flight risk. And she also, may I add, stupidly was here in the U.S. knowing full well that the FBI was looking for her and people were looking for her. And she, it's almost, I wouldn't say scornfully, but it's almost like that, her being up in the northeast of the United States in hiding. You know what I mean? It's almost like, come and get me. Well, they came and got you, and now you're in Brooklyn. Let's let you stay there. So that's one thing. Okay, and then the second thing I wanted to talk about was the Chad Daybell and the Lori Vallow Daybell case. Allegedly, it has come out that John Pryor now is the owner of Chad Daybell's house. So one would be left to assume that there's a little bit of a cash flow problem and that his attorney's fees need to be secured with some collateral. And the best way to do it was just to go ahead and essentially sell him the house. You know, put him as the owner of the Daybell residence. Boy, right? It's the place where the children's bodies were found too. I mean, like, what's that property going to be worth? So I thought to myself, okay, so that's telling me something. That's telling me that that sweet insurance money's run out, you know, or run really low, because you have allegedly Chad, you know, he's got an attorney, that's not allegedly, and then you've got Lori, she's got Mark Means, and then if Chad or Lori are paying for any of their family members' attorneys, I mean, that stuff adds up, doesn't it? And especially in a conspiracy, if you're on the DL paying for anybody else's attorney, you know, that's being accused of in the conspiracy, or maybe accused in a conspiracy, that stuff adds up. So all that sweet insurance money, man, where did it go? I mean, certainly they didn't spend it all in Hawaii. They probably spent a good chunk of it, but not all of it. And now, here we are, the end of 2020, and it's getting thin. So don't be shocked, guys, if you were to see a public defender enter for any of these parties, even while we're still, haven't even gotten to the murder charges yet. We're still on the cases of the bodies being on Chad Daybell's property and the conspiracy involving those charges. Don't be shocked, because attorneys are expensive. And these charges are nothing that are not petty charges. So don't be surprised. But by that same token, don't be surprised if somebody stays on because they like the attention and they like the publicity, and they hope that if they do well for their clients that they'll get, you know, more clients. All right, so that segues me into what I didn't talk about 2 weeks ago, and I sat on this because of the fact that the court sealed the alleged audio tapes transcript. So you have, let me back this up. You have a motion from Mark Means and then a motion from John Pryor after, essentially saying, get the state's attorney Rob Wood off this case. The case, the Lori Vallow and the Chad Daybell with the kids on the property, those cases. Get him off of that, because what he's done is unethical and illegal and yada yada, Brady violations, all this nonsense, okay? I gotta think that this is sort of like a lot of furor that's really signifying nothing. It's very Shakespearean, because in my mind, when you look at what was released, alleged to be what was in the file, but we don't know because now it's been sealed away from the public eye. When you look at that, on its face, Rob Wood, in my opinion, hasn't done anything unethical, immoral, or illegal. Okay? That's in my opinion. Now, the judge could look at that, or you could hear the whole entire tape. There could be something on the outliers of that wasn't just a little excerpt that could be just horrible. But that's usually not how it works. You usually put in the excerpt what he did wrong. You know what I mean? It's a whole lot of speculation, and I'm here for it. Allegedly, Rob Wood, that's the state's attorney in this case, had overtures made to him by Summer Shiflett, that's Lori's sister, and Zulema Pastenes, that's Alex Cox's wife. Allegedly, this was to do with Charles Vallow's death. Now remember, he was the one that was murdered by Alex Cox, that's Lori's brother, in self-defense. So allegedly, Zulema and Summer were going to come into the police department in a different state, in Arizona, and made overtures to the state's attorneys to come and speak with them. Folks, this happens when you want to make a deal. You usually don't just say, howdy ho, let's stop and have, Cokes and Cheetos and sit and talk around about a case just 'cause. You have some information you want to share, and you do that with the police, right? But you drag the state attorney in to make a deal. You following me? Because sometimes the police, you give information to the police and they're like, well, we can't tell you for sure that we can make the deal. The state's attorney is the one that helps to make the deal. So why were they invited? Why was Rob Wood invited to speak with Summer and her attorney and Zulema and her attorney, who was the same damn attorney, by the way, on 2 different days, unless a deal was being talked about or even some overtures to starting a relationship? Okay, so follow me on this thread, this concept of how this happened. So Rob Wood trucks his butt all the way down to Arizona and meets with Summer and her attorney, Garrett Smith, and then on another day meets with Zulema and her attorney, Garrett Smith, at the police station. Note I said and her attorney, meaning you're your client's human shield, right? You're the dome to keep things being done to your client, keep things your client say protected, keep people from intimidating your client. The attorney's there. So if something was done by Rob Wood, why didn't the attorney say something right then and there? Why didn't the attorney get up and leave? Why didn't the attorney say, sir, I think you're improper, I'm going to report you to the bar for that? Hello? You're the attorney. You're the one there to protect your client. You're saying that Rob Wood did something improper and you just let it roll? Okay. All right, I'll go with that. Were you a eunuch that day? I don't know. I mean, I'm trying to figure this out. This is my opinion, okay? So they go down there, one would think, to start deal negotiations of some kind, or to give your information and see if there could be immunity of any kind, if necessary. And in the transcript, this alleged sealed little tidbit, Summer is talking with Rob Wood, and Rob Wood tells her that she is not a person of interest in this case. This case seemingly being the Charles Vallow case, because you got to stop and think, what was Summer that we know about her connection to the Charles Vallow murder? And the only thing I came up with was she allegedly called Alex and said, please come and take care of Lori because Charles is coming over and she's scared. Something to that effect. And I could understand if you did that wanting to talk to the police. So maybe that's why, right? But we don't get that in this excerpt. We don't get that, hey, the only thing I had to do with that was this. You don't see that in this excerpt. You see that, You see Rob Wood telling her essentially she's not a person of interest. And what that leads me to believe is there's no need to give her any immunity because she's not a person of interest. So then they sit and shoot the shit. So Wood says, he's just trying to understand the context of who these people are, who the defendants are, and what they believe. And Summer has her own, in my opinion, her own motivation. She's like wanting to know the progress of the autopsy for Tylee. She's asking direct questions of Rob Wood. She's asking about her death. She has questions for the state's attorney about the cause of death. And Rob Wood tells Summer that the body's at the crime lab with lots of other deceased there, and that they may never know the true destruction, the true, I wouldn't say cause of death, but everything that happened to her because of the destruction of the body. And he even expresses gratitude to Summer because he says, you don't have to speak with me. You don't have to speak with the state's attorney. You don't have to speak with us. Our whole goal is justice for the kids. I mean, this is so stereotypical, like boilerplate stuff to tell people that I don't see how anything so far I'm telling you is immoral, unethical, illegal, improper, right? But what he's also saying by saying, you don't have to speak with us, it's letting her know that she's free to get up and walk out at any time. You're not a person of interest, get up and walk out. So she's chatting, right? She's asking questions. And he does plant the seed in her mind that it might be good for Lori to talk with the state's attorney. Is that immoral? No. He didn't say, hey, I need you, he wasn't trying to make her an undercover witness or something. He just, that's a no-brainer. You got charges against you. You got more coming down the line. Talk with the state's attorney against maybe Chad or other people. It's going to be beneficial to you. Wood does mention something that we didn't know, that Lori was actually talking with Chad and right before the bodies were found, about that time period, and that she was thinking allegedly about maybe talking with the authorities, but Chad talked her out of it. Like right before they were finishing the warrant that day, that Chad talked Lori out of it. Isn't that interesting? And Summer also expresses like pain, hurt, sorrow for that the thought that Lori could spend her life in jail. Now it's funny because the charges that she's currently under wouldn't, if she was found guilty of all the charges right now, she wouldn't be spending her life in jail. So obviously we're talking about the murder of the kids. Otherwise you wouldn't be talking about spending your life in jail, right? So Summer's thinking long game. I think at some place in her mind she knows that there's murder charges coming. And so Wood does say, he tells her that they're able to hold essentially Chad and Lori on a high bail on these lower charges, and they're not low charges. It's charges of having 2 dead children on the property of Chad Daybell and covering it up and conspiring. Okay, those aren't really low charges, but keeping them on this higher bail and in custody, and the goal is to have like such a strong case that they move forward when they're ready. And he does make mention, this is the only thing, is that when she has competent counsel, and he makes mention that Lori's attorney, who would be Mark Means, has never handled a felony. And as far as I know, that's true. So you can't be slandering someone or influence someone or being improper if you're telling the truth. And he wasn't telling Lori this. He's telling Lori's sister this. Okay, he's just talking to Summer about truths or his opinions. Okay? And he's essentially, in my opinion, kind of putting it in her ear that it would be a good idea for Lori to cooperate. But that's a no-brainer for anyone to know that if you've got a conspiracy charge and you got somebody else that, to have one thing on the other, it's always going to be in your interest. That's not telling somebody something they don't know. He's telling this to Summer Shiflett, not Lori. And even if he told it to Lori, So anyway, Wood does say this. He's never done any meaningful criminal work at all. He's talking about Means. He doesn't know what he's doing. He's a nice guy. Okay. That's an opinion. He doesn't know what he's doing. That's an opinion. Who is he telling this opinion to? He's telling this to Summer Shiflett. Is he telling this to Lori and telling her to dump her counsel? No, he's not. He's telling this to Summer Shiflett, and it's his opinion. And if you can look and see if an attorney's done criminal work. Apparently he hasn't, allegedly. And the law states that if you end up getting charged, like say in murder charges, and it's a death penalty qualified, you have to have death penalty qualified attorneys, okay? So what he's trying to say, or says, is that if murder charges go forward and the death penalty is on the table, Means is not going to be the lead attorney. That's a fact. That's a fact. Could he be on the trial team? Like, let's imagine there was O.J. Simpson level money, and you could have a team, and you have the first attorney you brought in, who you used, who was a contracts attorney, and he goes and gets all, the Shapiros and the Baileys and all this, but he stays on the team. We're not talking that amount of money, right? Do you think Chad Daybell is going to have a whole entire team and keep Means and Pryor on? Or, if Lori will do that? No, more than likely. They only have enough money for a public defender or someone that decides to stay on for attention. But more than likely, if the murder charges come down and if they have the death penalty on the table, that's serious. Means will not be able to be lead counsel. That's just a fact. Is it wrong for him to tell this to Lori's sister? No. Okay, so follow me here. So he thanks Summer for coming in. I mean, we're pretty much done here, right? But they chew the fat. They talk about the death penalty, and then he talks about how since the death penalty causes so many appeals, they haven't even made up their mind whether they want to file the death, if they want to go for the death penalty yet. And he also says they really don't want to ask for the death penalty. And Summer makes the comment that Lori might even prefer the death penalty if she comes out of this fantasy state she's in. In other words, it might hit her so hard in the face about what she's done that she might even prefer the death penalty. So another thing we get out of this transcript, if it's to be believed, is that Lori was reading Chad's books before she met Chad, that Chad's ideas, were interesting to Lori. She was following him, and that Chad's ideas were the basis for some of his other authors' books and concepts. But what also kind of says is, and everything I'm telling you is a paraphrase, is essentially once the trial starts, that she's not going to look any better than Chad, regardless of whose ideas were whose ideas started it, whose ideas were the kindling, and whose ideas were the match. This is me paraphrasing. It's not going to matter at trial. Here's the rub. You've got Summer Shiflett. You've got Garrett Smith, her attorney, talking to Rob Wood, and they're all in the room, and somebody's recorded this conversation, surreptitiously. I doubt it was Summer, because also Zulema and allegedly her attorney and Rob Wood had another conversation that was surreptitiously recorded. Who's the common denominator there? The attorney, okay? Now, in this state, Arizona, would be a one-party state, meaning you don't have to have Rob Wood's seemingly's permission to record surreptitiously. Now, is that against the rules, the attorney's rules? It could be for the state in which he is, states that attorney is licensed in. Could be. I don't think it's really that moral to do that in a police department with another attorney. It doesn't seem like a very moral thing to do. I wouldn't do it, but then again, I live in a two-party state, so we don't do it. It's a felony to do anything like that, even if you're just a normal schmo. If you're not out in public and there's an expectation of privacy, you don't ever do that. It's a felony. So, but anyway, here's the questions I have. Allegedly, Garrett Smith, the attorney, shared this audio or the transcript or the excerpt to Mark Means, and my question is, to whose benefit? Mark Means is Lori's attorney, and his client is Zulema and Summer. So why in the world is there's this incestuous attorney behavior between these parties unless these parties are involved? You following me? If you've got a client, Summer, or you have a client, Zulema, and their interests don't conflict, because if they conflict, then that's a conflict of interest. So we're assuming that Summer's and Zulema's interests don't conflict at all, and you're representing them. Why in the world would you then give that information that you've done for your own client and share it with Lori's attorney? Because he talks about Lori's attorney? And you thought that this would then be good to get him off because he said, hurt your fifis? He hurt Mark Means' fifis? His feelings? You follow me? Who's client? Who's your client? Your client is Summer. Your client is Zulema. You're making this tape surreptitiously. And then you're talking to Mark Means and then sharing it with Mark Means, who then shares it with the court and shares it with John Pryor for Chad, all alleging these horrible things where it's really just one opinion to your client who isn't the one on trial. Following me? Isn't even a person of interest. And you're the attorney sitting right there that if he had done something improper, you should have been the one to be the baffle, to be the guard. It makes no sense to me. It almost smacks of a setup. This is just my opinion. Don't come for me. This is just my opinion. Because was Summer's attorney there? Yes. Did Wood ask Summer to talk to Lori? Like using her as an agent? No. Did Wood threaten Summer? Her interests? No. Did Wood reveal some kind of evidence? No. I mean, did he talk about strategy that anybody who's watching this case knows? Yeah, so? Did Wood reveal any kind of evidence? No. Did Wood give an opinion about Means? Yeah. Does that affect Summer at all, or Zulema at all? Seemingly, no. So he has an opinion about Means. Was that opinion like a slanderous thing or a libelous thing? Slanderous in this case? No. It was the truth. Is it wrong to tell the truth? This is really troubling to me, because you come to and bring a state's attorney in situations like this when you're looking to get an offer or to get some kind of immunity. And maybe the reason why we didn't see the transcript for Zulema or an excerpt was maybe because she did get some immunity, which would be really silly for him to then turn around and talk to Means. To me, if you said, Thielen, what do you think happened? I would think that they go to Arizona, find out Summer is not on the radar for Charles's death, and I mean, that's what it said in the excerpt. And then some things, weren't flatteringly, saying Means doesn't know what he's doing. And so that's not flattering. And then I don't know what happened with Zulema, whether she got immunity or didn't. And then, for whatever reason, and I don't know if the same people are paying all these attorneys. If they are, that's why. Then this attorney got on the phone or whatever, contacted Mark Means and shared this information with him, and that Mark Means felt offended and felt that he could take this information and twist it into some kind of reason to get Rob Wood off the case. And to me, it's just silliness. It's all a furor about nothing. And unless there's something else that wasn't in this little excerpt, this is just kind of like wah, 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 in my opinion. And also, and what I said in my other video about this is, let's say you do get Rob Wood kicked off the case, you're just going to get another state's attorney. I mean, there's somebody there helping him. You're just going to get the next person in line, and that person may be even tougher, more of a bulldog than Rob Wood. Might not even be as friendly or as open to your client. So it's kind of like, all right, so he got his feelings hurt. That's kind of what my takeaway is of it. But you know how we'll know, because this is all sealed? We'll know when the docket shows the result of the what the judge deems. It'll be denying that motion, or if you see Rob Wood not on the case anymore and they approve the motion, then you'll know it. But they've sealed this away from us. So I guess they didn't want us to continue to speculate on it. And that's one reason I sat on it, because I thought, well, you know, I don't know if I want to speculate on something that, you know, they've sealed it, but everybody else seems to be talking about it. So what the hell? I'll go ahead and throw my 2 cents into it too. So, oh, I'm sorry that was so long-winded. I guess it's because I haven't been on in so long. But I want to say thank you so much for watching. And I'm also doing some research on another case. It's more systemic. And if you're interested in protecting children and standing against systemic abuse that we can do something about, then maybe you'll be interested in the next kind of stuff that I will be doing videos on. So without further ado, please hit that like, please hit the subscribe, and have an excellent day. And have an excellent new year. Bye.